to go watch Titane. Like you have to go. So
if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, yeah. And just
Yeah.
imagine a world where the director of Titane gets a Best Director nomination.
I know.
I would run around my house.
Yeah. Well, Cannes is there for us.
Yeah, that's right. And
know?
the Independent Spirit Awards, they got some legit.
Yeah.
Like The Novice, that got nominated for Best Picture, and Isabel Fuhrman got nominated for Best Actress. So that makes me happy. That's pretty cool. Hey, so
yeah. I think they could do a good job at mixing it up, man. You know, just throw in an unpredictable one that people are gonna love. It's kind of cool this year, like they did like a best fan thing they're doing or something.
Johnny Depp movie's #1 right now. People are trying to kind of bomb the Johnny Depp did a movie and it's #1 in the voting right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're trying to get a weird movie to win it. So I think they wanted Spider-Man No Way Home to do it.
That's what I think they made the award for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Imagine if they just chucked in Spider-Man No Way Home and Kanto, one of those movies, people would be pretty chill about everything overall.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't think Spider-Man No Way Home deserves a Best Picture nomination, but that's just me.
Nah.
It's cool, but
yeah,
I don't know. And
Prestige, I mean, there is a lot I think that didn't deserve it, but we could do an Oscar episode also.
Yeah, do predictions. Yeah, for sure. I know I'm on a tangent, but
I love it.
The one thing about Pig, I just talked about how Nicolas Cage was the best, but that's not even in my top 5 Neon films. Now, I guess we're doing top 5, but we're doing our favorite, right? Not the best.
Yeah, favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite's the only way.
Yeah, because there's no way to be subjective or objective about what is the best? There really is no best. So
it's weird because at the end of the day, the best is subjective.
Exactly.
Like, how else do you pick it? You don't say, you know what, I think they would think that would be the best. Like, you pick what you think is the best. Therefore, so it's kind of a weird, that one could go deep too, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, how else do you pick?
Yeah.
Like, favorite. That's just how it is. I mean, yeah, there is those albums and movies that, like, hey, that wasn't for me, but it was obviously, I didn't relate to it or feel it like I wanted to, but you could tell that was a master class or whatever. So there is those. At the end of the day, it has to be a mix of something you enjoyed, related to, and you're asking an individual. It has to be subjective. So favorites for sure.
All right, you want to hear my number 5?
Are we going 5-5, 4-4?
Yeah, sound good?
That's beautiful.
All right, this is my number 5, and it's you won't be able to see this, but I can show you. It's Wild Rose, starring Jessie Buckley. Academy Award nominated Jessie Buckley. I have the pretentious vinyl in my hands because my wife and I love. This hit #1 on the UK country charts.
Wow.
So and then Buckley's a singer, so she can But the reason I included this, right, because my wife watched this on a flight because she used to travel a decent bit for work, and she had watched it about 3 times, and she's like, "Mark, you have to watch Wild Rose. You just have to do it." And I remember watching it, and Jessie Buckley is so alive in Wild Rose. I remember watching it and going, she's going to win an Oscar soon. And she's up for it now, which is so cool. I'm so happy that she's up for The Lost Daughter.
Surprise there too.
Yeah, no one saw that
nomination.
Coming. And I just think she's spectacular. But in this movie, she's just so alive. And just hearing her sing and hearing her, it's hard to explain. It's just one of those performances that you watch and you just remember. I was watching West Side Story this year, and Ariana DeBose, I believe her name is. I was watching. I'm like, she's gonna win an Oscar. She's just alive in this movie.
She's winning everything.
Yeah, she's absolutely alive. And watching Wild Rose and seeing Jessie Buckley, I've just been a huge fan of hers since then. And it's just been on my mind. We have the soundtrack. I love, whenever I'm hear about Jessie Buckley, I'm like, oh, Wild Rose is Jessie Buckley. That's how I talk about her. So that's my number 5. Just because of all the Neon movies I've watched, her performance, because I didn't know who she was, and I was just gobsmacked with how, I keep saying this word, but I'm gonna keep saying it. So vibrant and alive. And this wasn't a character, what's interesting too about her character? She's infinitely talented, but she's still kind of a screw up, but she's not a massive screw up. There's no scenes in this movie where, she shows up plastered and then she does this or that. She's just super talented. She knows she's talented. She knows she wants to get there, but she doesn't have the means. And it's just her figuring it out. And it's pretty stressful. And I think it leads to a beautiful ending. And then you have Sophie, I wrote down, what's her last name? Sophie Okonedo. She's an Oscar nominee. And then you have Julie Walters, who's an Oscar nominee. You surround her with excellent actors. And that's just, oh man, it's beautiful. I love it. That's my number 5.
Yeah. I wish I could riff off that. I haven't seen Wild Rose. It's on my list of like I made like a movies I need to see from Neon and like or most want to see. That's on there. Funny enough, I almost watched it on a plane because if I'm not mistaken, it's a short movie, like maybe like an hour 25 or 30, like that nice little sweet spot. So I was on a plane and I remember like, oh, I can fit that one in, and I went with something else, or maybe I didn't finish because I timed it wrong because it was my second movie, something like that. Haven't seen it. Fan of Jessie Buckley. It was cool to see her get nominated as well for supporting. I thought it was really cool. I do feel she kicked out like a better Ruth Negga maybe, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that was a stunner for me, but it was like cool to see her because from the stuff she's done, the work she's done, like all that leads into being a great actress, I think, as well. But yeah, I haven't seen Wild Rose, so I'm gonna throw that on my list, especially since it's your number 5. Try to get to it maybe next month,
Cool.
since February's over. So maybe March is Wild Rose month. Maybe I just go through all the Neon since we're doing this. My number 5 is this year, 2021, Titane.
Oh man.
When we're talking about, you know, the studio taking on the more fringe, weirder movies that somebody want, like talk about the weirdest movie you maybe ever seen, but it's not off the rails weird. Like it really comes together. Like the characters and the themes really come together at the end. So like when you're first watching it and you hear about like, oh, a girl fucked a car or whatever, like you just think it's just this like gratuitous bizarreness for no reason, but it's so like just heartfelt and quiet and intimate at the same time. Like I think that's probably my favorite female performance of the year as well, from August Roselle, first time actress,
So good.
as well. And I just loved her performance. The like physicality of it just was everything to me, the look in general. So yeah, that's my number 5, and I think that starts off like a good description of like what Neon does, like, you know what I mean? And then it can kind of get a little more focused from there, but like this is a weird movie, this is a Neon movie, this is something that like if you want to get into other movies in the studio, that maybe you can watch it because it's different. And like we just said, like that's what you want to see, right?
And I don't want to spoil anything about it, but I do love there's a relationship that forms in this movie
Yes.
that is so unexpected and so odd, right? It's
So
just
odd.
yeah, but it's really great though.
It's beautiful and odd, and it's like, yeah, it's just challenging, and you can tell these are just people that are challenged to build these relationships. So maybe they're the only other one that can find that. You know, like when
Mhm.
there's literally like someone like this person's so weird, but someone's gonna love them. There's someone for him. There's someone for her. Like these are like the only two people in the world, but like they're on different pages as well. The relationship's not this and it's not that. It's like something completely different, like almost as unique as them in a way. I also got a shout out. I just did like a 9 movies on Amazon Prime, and there's a documentary called The Imposter I put
Oh
on there.
yeah, yes.
And the writer director Julia Ducournau, the dark fucking queen of my life,
That and Raw.
she has said in an interview that Titane was highly inspired by The Imposter, and she's a big fan.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's a big fan. She even uses music from The Imposter in a few scenes in Titane.
Oh wow. You know what?
Yeah,
That's
I think the first song that plays is maybe something from The Imposter, like the ending track of The Imposter.
it's wild you say that now because I can see it. That's
Yeah,
cool. Oh
yeah,
yeah, she's the best. Raw too. I love Raw.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
another good movie right there.
You know what
Yes.
I love about her? She is just like this beautiful blonde French lady. And like if you look at her, she is just this like elegant queen, but then she just makes like the sickest fucking movies ever. And like I love that, you know, like duality of people. Like if you look at her, you're like, "Oh my gosh, she probably like wears this and is like highbrow everything." But it's just like she's like the sickest fuck alive. It's great.
Yeah, to come on to make Titan, but there's still heart there. Like, yeah, it's not. Sorry, like
Heart,
you know
that's
what?
why it's beautiful that it comes together and it's not just dark and weird. It's like, no, like it comes together with that like heart and relationship.
So I think this is kind of a perfect segue. My number 4 is Coralie
Perfect.
Fargeau. Let's see, I wrote I YouTubed her name earlier because I hate butchering names. But yeah, so Coralie Fargeau, she did Revenge in 2017, and I don't know
Okay.
if you've watched this movie, but it's one of the it's like absolutely beautiful. I mean, for lack of a better word, they call it like a rape revenge thriller, but it's directed by a woman. It's not the traditional like male gaze film.
Yes.
And I think the performance by Matilda Lutz is fantastic. And it's just this movie where this mistress goes out on a hunting trip, and there's three men. Something terrible happens, and then she has to fight these three men. And
Mm.
I, there's some cup. There's all right. I think everyone should. I don't want to give anything away, but there are some moments that what I love about this movie is it's not subtle about its references. It's not trying to be clever with a lot of things. It's kind of in your face. But she does something with a beer can that has a marking on it that leaves something on her that just
Okay.
I don't want to wreck it for you. Are you gonna watch this movie?
I'm
All right.
writing down your picks that I haven't watched, so I just remember them.
Yeah, so I don't want to give it away, but it's a gorgeously shot movie. So much blood. Zanande Boeta, she's on the MFF podcast. She's doing an article for Cracked right now about French horror films. So we've been back and forth about a lot of French films, and she's just like, I think French films are the bloodiest. Like not like geysers like Evil Dead 2 or The Shining, but she's like, when someone gets cut in a French movie, they just explode
Spray.
blood. And so you watch this movie, and it's just blood soaked. I think the director, she also wrote the screenplay. It's just it kind of has different perspective. It switches. The character doesn't have much dialogue after the 26th minute. It just becomes you like a movie when somebody steps on a piece of glass and you feel it. Does that make sense? Like when this character, there's a scene where she steps on glass, like I was like no, like I was with her. I was on like I was so wanting her to win that when she stepped on that glass, I just like I don't know. It was very visceral for me watching this movie. It's on Shudder, but yeah, I just
Okay.
absolutely. I just been thinking about it because maybe after you watch it or if you've watched it, shoot me a message and we can talk about it. But
I need to, yeah.
there's some scenes. I mean, it's a very hardcore movie, but I love it. But it's
Yeah.
uh, there's just some like all right. So I love Darjeeling Limited. I'm a Wes Anderson fan.
Okay.
And a lot of people go at him about the scene where the three brothers throw their luggage away and get on the train. Like it's very obvious they're throwing they're putting their luggage behind them, like they're leaving their luggage behind and they're moving forward. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's too obvious of a metaphor." But I love it. I don't know. I think there's something so simplistic about it, and I think it's kind of
Yeah.
beautiful. This movie has something similar to that people have kind of talked about a little bit, but I adore it. So I'll keep talking around it. I'll stop doing that. But yeah, Revenge is my number 4.
No, I'm gonna put it on the list for sure.
Hey, this
The
is a
type
good
of
thing.
movies.
This is
Was that?
this is a good thing that we haven't watched some of these because we'd be talking for like
Yes.
8 hours. So it's good. This is good.
Yes, the type of movie that you described it to be too is something that, seems I would highly enjoy. So looks fun. And the thing is, I go through a lot of these movies. When I looked at the Neon Studio website and I went through them, I was like, oh my God, there's so many of these. Like I'm like, oh, I need to watch that one. I need to watch that one. And then like I never got to it
Hmm.
for whatever reason. And I think that's what we talked about with this studio. Like they're not movies that are like in your face marketing. Like when an A24 movie comes out, it's there. It's marketed. This guy's talking about it. This guy's talking about it. These are all ones I remember looking at like I need to watch that. I need to watch that, and then just like didn't because I never thought of it again, or it was never in the forefront of. There was never a trailer when I
Hmm.
watched it, or it wasn't promoted on Amazon or Hulu or anything. So a lot of these movies are, I feel like that, when I looked at them, I was like, dude, I know all these movies, but like, I never thought of them again because once again, we talked about the marketing earlier, and sometimes that's what it is, the art's there, but business is business, which is crazy.
Yeah.
My
It's not on
number
it's not
four is
on
going to
coffee
be,
mugs or anything.
yeah,
A24.
exactly.
Oh, it's good.
My fourth is going to be a movie that I think kind of spawned this podcast for us a little bit. Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Ah.
That's going to be my fourth. And speaking objectively, subjectively, like this, you can't argue is probably like the best movie. Like like when you watch this movie, like, holy shit, like this is what classy ass people watch when they tell you they're watching a French movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like when you're a kid and you hear someone say like they watched a French movie, like